So today we're gonna be over the needs assessment and enhanced training. So this is just the agenda for today. We're gonna do the signing, background, go through the prep work, see if you guys have any questions, how you guys did the enhanced and needs assessment, and I'm gonna show some examples of presentations. Because in the end, what we'll be grading and see is your PowerPoint presentation. Like, I'm not gonna over your Excel workbooks or anything like that. So just to remind, the grading for the project, each part of the project is worth 50 points, and all that together is 200 points, which is equal 40% of your grade for the class. This is just the forgot how you call that.
Rubric?
Yeah, the rubric for enhance. So if for your presentation you follow all the requests, you should be fine, you know. So just the tables and the graphs that is requested, so you should be fine for that. And that's for the needs assessment too. And I just want to point out that that blood pressure and the lab values, if you have not all students are going to have another lab value, because it's going to depend on the group that you're working with. For example, if you're working with teenagers, maybe don't need cholesterol, you know, for the lab. You kind of have to see what you're going to need for your target group.
And that's all online is where you find all that? Or you have to make them?
When you find what? The tables?
Yeah.
That's what you need to make. Like, after you work your data that is in your workbooks, that's what you're going to do. I'm going to show you today.
Okay.
So, prep work. Questions? Everybody was able to do everything?
Yeah, did you want me to show you what I was talking about so you can show other people later?
Yeah.
So, like, if you go to the website we're supposed to go, and say you go to Amazon, and you hit all of them, and like here's all of them and you're confused, you can hit Command F, and then you can type in anything you want, like cholesterol. But, I mean, this is examination, so it might not show up, like what it is.
Examination and BMI.
Okay, BMI. And then it pulls up all of the, so you can just have, you can like, figure out what it is they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
opening up all those
so can you
videos.
do it again? So there is a place on the top, right?
So you're gonna hit all of instead of opening up all these documents, you just click the general one and you hit Command F, and then it pops up.
I'll probably change that in the training.
Yeah.
So everyone.
It's a lot quicker.
Yeah. Okay, so for the prep work, that first table should look like that. I posted the DRI's table you guys were able to use. So should look something like that. So you just calculate what is the range, you calculate what is below 1/3, and that's the way you do. So that was okay for everyone. Okay. So another part of the prep work was to take away other variables that we're not be using, right? I kind of did a demographic for you guys. I just let a fill. I don't know if you realize in the workbooks that I uploaded, because there is way more demographics. But since demographics is one thing that is in all 3 workbooks, I kind of clean out, and you should depending on your target group, so you should have all those demographics, and the education is going to depend which target group you have. For example, if you have children, you should choose household education, the head of the household education level. If it's adults, you're going to use both level educations 3 and 2, and if it's adult 90 to 22, that's what you're gonna use, and if it's just adults 22 and above, you're gonna have just education 2. So that's you're gonna be able to recognize once you change what you should have already have done the names here. So those are all codes, and by looking at the website, you are able to find what that code is. So if it's ethnicity, for example, that code I already know that is ethnicity, so I can change the name. So what you should have done is just delete the delete the variable that you're not going to use. You need to choose one for household size or family size too. That's, you decide what you want to, use. And all the other variables everyone should have. So for example, let's say that my group is under 18. So what I should do is just select, so those two I know that I'm not going to be using. So I should just select and delete. So that part is what you guys should have done. And so there is a list in the prep work and each step of, for dietary, what you should be deleting, and you should select what you should be deleting. I know that we don't use that, and that, we don't use vitamin D. So the same thing, you should do that, you delete. You don't use the protein, protein. So it should look something like that. Your dietary workbook after everything you have done, except that you should rename everything here, but I'm going to show you that one. Okay, so that's my workbook for the dietary, and if you see I rename everything, you can just have.
What's the very last one? HHEDU?
This is head household education, because in my case.
So that's different from the just education one.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you about. You need to see what is your target group, because for education, depending on the age, you have, for each group, you have a different level of education. If you are working with kids, should be head household reference education.
So if I have adults, that last column I can delete and just keep the education too.
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't delete that.
If your adults is about 22 years old. What is your
31 to 50.
Yeah, so you should just keep education too. They were adolescents, 16, 17, 18. So that's why I didn't use, I used the household reference. So you should rename all the tabs just to make easy for you, use names that are easy for you to recognize, because I'm not be looking into that. So just for you to look and remember what it is that. So race, ethnicity, household, I choose household size and not family size. So you need to choose either one and delete the other one you'll not be using. So the way I did in my workbook, so far, any questions? So your workbook should look something like that, for example, for the dietary one. And the other ones, let me just open a little bit from here. In your examinations, it should look something like that. You don't have much variables here. And your lab should look something like that. So that's after that's supposed to be the prep work. So now we start actually doing the actual training. That's for another album. So for the first for the enhance, you should have this table is just the same thing that you did for all the recommendations, the DRIs. Just you don't need to transfer here as long as you already have everything. That's fine. Remember that prep work here is the same table. So just for you to have in the same in the same form. So before you do anything, the next step, which it is in the instructions, should be sort for age and your gender. So what I'm gonna show like a way that I think is easier to do, so you guys can know. So after you rename everything, you already know which column is your gender. So the way I do it, just select the column and I sort from smallest to largest. And you always need to remember to expand the selection because you want all the columns change of that column, you know. You want that your person that is number 516224, all their information be together. So always remember to expand the selection. So I sorted it. Let's say that my gender is female, and female is number 2. So all my ones I'm gonna delete. So what I do, I just select 1111, all the ones. Just let it down, please. So you delete all the ones, and now you have just women. And then for your age, in my group, for example, the age, let's say that is in my group was 16, 17, 18. So again, I'm gonna sort from the smallest to the largest. So I know that 0, so I need to go until it starts 16. So everything that was below 16, I deleted. And everything that was above 18, I deleted.
When I didn't know how to do this over the weekend, I sat there and started deleting like the number 2, like just scrolling and delete, like 5 hours.
So, since here my workbook was kind of everything looks just less, but you should have around like 100 people or something like that. So that's the way you're gonna sort for gender and age. You have any question about that? You just select the column, sort, and you're gonna delete what is not from the group that you're working with. Okay, so and the way that I did, like each step I was gonna save. So that was my original bank. And then my second step when I deleted the columns that I'm not gonna use and renamed, and then when I sorted for gender and age. And another thing that you need to do too, let me go back here, after you sort for gender and age, you need to take out all the missing data. Everything that is a dot, that is a arrow like that, is an empty space, that is missing data. So for me, the easiest way to do is I go column by column and I sort again from the smallest to the largest, and I go in and look on the bottom. So that column doesn't have any missed data. I go in the second column, I sort it. So no. So here, starting here, see a bunch of dots. So you can select everything here. Everything that has a dot, I think this one. I'm not gonna delete all, but you got the point. So everything that has a dot, you're gonna delete. Okay, so you keep doing that, just as the way that is easier to do. do for all the columns, sort, and everything that has a missing data, like a dot or a arrow like that or empty space, you're going to take away.
That whole section.
The whole section. Because you cannot have any missing data. See, if you have
so like all of these get deleted because they all have a dot?
Yeah. Because you cannot have any missing data for any variable.
Okay.
So you're going to delete all that. I was just trying to show what easier to do than you know, if you're going to look row by row, is going to be more difficult. So that way you're grouping everything that for the gender variable has a missing data. So didn't have any. So for the age, so you see for each variable where it has missing data and you delete everything. So we got that?
Mm-hmm.
So after that, like, it's pretty much gonna be clean, your workbook. So if you like, you can do that way. Each step you're gonna save, because if you need to go back, it's easier that way. Then you know you can go back in a step that is now you don't need to do everything. So after you did all that, you sort for gender, you take all the missing data, it should look like that. So always missing data here. It should look like that. And if you just like select one of the columns, you can see in the count how many people you have. So in mine was 197 for the dietary workbook. So that's my any, like, because there is some tables I need to put any, how many people you have. So now you're gonna start working the worksheets for the NHANGs. So the first thing that you need to do is just go through your population and count how many people has consumed sodium below 1/3 of the DRI. And do that for all the amounts, and do the percentage, and do for each nutrient. So I'm going to show how. So you get your dietary workbook and have all the nutrients here. So for me, the easiest way to do again is sorting. So I know that for sodium, below 1/3%, it needs to be below 500 milligrams. So I go to my workbook, I find sodium, what is my sodium here? And I'm going to sort again. So I don't have, so it's from the smallest to the largest. So the smallest number that I have is 610. So I don't have anyone in my population that is below 1/3. So I count here, and it's 0. Right? So that in percentage would be 0% too.
Those tables are online?
Yeah. And when I did what I did, I transferred the tables here, just because then I could use formula to calculate percentage and things. But you can do either way. You can transfer the tables to your Excel, or you can just keep it in a Word and you if you prefer calculating a calculator. You know, but it's either way, you decide. So now I'm gonna see, I wanna know everyone that is between 1/3 and 2/3. So that would be between 500 and 1,000 milligrams. So I go to my workbook, and we're going to see everyone that is between 500 and 1,000, and that's just 2 people, right? So I go there to my table and put a 2. Okay, and I calculate how many that would be. So the percentage is my any. Usually it's good to put the any somewhere. You put below the table, put in somewhere here. So my any was 197 people. So to calculate your percentage, you get your count, right? Divide by your total and multiply for 100. So then you have a percentage. So that's why. So you find your percentage and put it here. So you do that for each range and for each nutrient. Everybody got that? Any question about that? Did I go too fast? Okay, so you do that for every nutrient. You're gonna do that for saturated fat and cholesterol. But here's the difference is because you don't have like 1/3, 2/3. You just have the count that is above and the count that's below. So you need to do the range for that too, for saturated fat and cholesterol. I don't think you didn't have that in the DRI tables that I gave you. No, right? Do you guys find it all? You guys were able to find the recommendation?
It had like lines to the
Yeah.
table, so I didn't fill it out.
Which table?
Like the table that you emailed to us, like it has like a dash saying like, don't do it.
Has a dash thing in here? Like a table like that one?
Yeah. Like go back to your original table.
That one?
You see how it has the dashes? So I didn't
Oh
fill
yeah.
those out.
Okay, it was already ready. But they had that amount here? That's what I'm trying to know. The one that
Oh
I sent
yeah,
you.
it looked just like that. Yeah.
Had all those amounts?
No, I filled my own.
You fill your own. I want to know if for saturated fat you already had a range or no.
It had a range, but I didn't fill it out after that.
Yeah, because you didn't
Okay.
need to.
Okay.
But for that one, you need to. So you know that the range is 10% for saturated fat. So everyone that is below 10% is below the range. Everyone that is above 10% is above the range.
Okay.
And the same thing for cholesterol. So you're gonna do the same thing, sort and see people that is above and below that. But for saturated fat, I don't know if you realize, and for macronutrient too is a percentage. So you don't have percentage here in the dietary workbook. So what I did, I think it was in that one. So I created new columns to calculate the percentage, and I made through formula. So the way that I did, you guys know how to work formula in Excel? Okay, so you probably need to go back to the tutorial. You guys did a tutorial? So, but I'm gonna show you anyway. So like I created a column for percent of saturated fat. So the way that I did the formula was, if you see, you need to add parentheses. Everything needs to be inside of a parenthesis. So I started with my the amount, but everybody knows how to calculate the percentage on calories. Like if I have grams of saturated fat, how much is that from the calorie that I'm eating? For example, if I eat 2,000 calories a day and I eat 7 grams of saturated fat, how much of that 7 grams of saturated fat, how percentage is that of the calorie that I'm eating? Yeah. So you guys know how to do that. So I did that and I just put in a formula. So the NA2 is just my saturated fat in grams. So my saturated fat in grams times 9, right? Because each gram of fat, regardless saturated or not saturated, is equal 9 kilocalories. So times that, and I divide it by my total amount of calories, which is that column here, right? And I multiplied that for 100, so I found the percentage. Everybody got that? So you were able to do at home, put the formula like that? Or if you want, if you don't feel comfortable doing the formula, you can just calculate it. And but that's going to be a lot of calculation, because once you do a formula for a little cell, you just scroll that like this, and then you will expand the formula for all, the other one. So that's
how do you expand the formula? You just highlight?
Yeah, so let's say you did the formula just for that cell. So there is that little square here.
Oh, and it just
so you went into this black, and you just do weigh all those cells that you want that formula to be.
Okay. And
you can do that way too.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why I think it's easier doing formula in Excel, so I don't need to calculate each one.
Wait, can you do the formula? Can you go in the formula again?
Okay, do you want to copy? Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm multiplying the grams of saturated fat with my tag any here, any 2, because that is any 1, so this is any 2. right? So it's my grams of saturated fat. So I put that here, and I multiply by 9, because 9 is the amount of calories that you have per gram of saturated fat. And I'm dividing that for my total calorie, the total calorie that person is eating a day, which is the H2, okay? And then I multiply for 100% because I'm going to figure out the percentage. So you got it now?
Yeah, I get it.
So, and then once you do a formula for one cell, you can expand for all. And so I did that for all the nutrients that I would need, percentage, carbohydrate, protein, and total fat. So once I have that, I can now sort that, okay? And things are sorted. No, it's not. Sort that, right? And now I have from the smallest, just ignore that because mine have other formulas. So I have from the smallest to the largest. And according to the range, I want to know everyone that is below 10%. So I'm going to select everyone that is below 10%.
This is all in the directions too?
No, that part is not in directions because there's Excel skills.
No, I mean like adding on to the end of your table, like filling in columns and stuff. It's not.
And that percent of saturated fat? No, it's not. Because that part is like each student supposed to do the way. When I was doing it, I figured out doing that way for myself.
Okay.
You know, because that is like Excel skills.
Okay.
So that's why it's good to come to the training because that is the directions that Dr. Winkins made the whole direction for the project. But since I have done a project, that was the way that I found easiest for me to do, then calculate for each person the percentage. You guys got how to do, right?
Yes.
That percentage? Okay. So now I'm doing the same way for the nutrients. So everyone that is below 10% I selected. And I don't need to count one by one because here in the bottom it show me that it's 77 persons, 77 people. So I just go to my table. Just go to my table and put how many persons is below the range for saturated fat, and I do again see who is above 10%, and then calculate the percentage. And again, it's always good to put your N here. Your N is the total amount of individuals that you have in your workbook. So we got that so far? Okay. Okay, so that's the first. There was anything else for that in this book? Oh, so and another table that you need to do is the mean and standard deviation. You guys know how to do that in Excel? Or you saw a tutorial or anything? Or once? Just undo everything. Okay, so once you have your workbook all cleaned up, the way I did, since I want an average and standard deviation for everything, I just selected, just put it in. So we're gonna create a row here for my average, okay? So the way that I make the average, I'm gonna do for formula. You could calculate if you want, if you prefer in the calculator, but Excel is gonna save you a lot of time. So the way that I do it, just select the cell for my first variable, which is just, wait a minute, I need to go over here. For my first, so I just put main for the sequence because that's not a variable, it's just a number between the five people. So the way that I did, I just added a formula here, and it's pretty easy. You select the row,